Hey, we got good news on joint practices, and an old friend, Trevor Thompson, stops by.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, what's good, everybody? Matt Derry with you. It is a Wednesday edition of Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today is Wednesday, May the 28th, and a Thursday, May the 29th. Thank you for making us your first listen, everybody, and checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. Shout out to our everydayers, those of you that watch or listen to the podcast daily. We appreciate all of you and all of your dedication to the show. Thank you for being there with us, whether you're watching on Apple or watching on YouTube, on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel, listening on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for doing that. Our boy Drew Nickel, who's an everyday listener, he even mentioned today on a Zoom call. He's like, wherever you get your podcast, he knows. Shout out, by the way, who likes granola? Caitlin's Granola. This stuff is money. Shouts to the Alum family. They know they are. That's some darn good granola from Caitlin. So a good snack today for yours truly. All right, Trevor Thompson, formerly of Bally Sports Detroit, FanDuel Sports Detroit, Fox Sports Detroit. Was he there when it was passed? I don't think so. He might have been. Trevor Thompson's going to join us today. Trevor's no longer with FanDuel Sports Detroit. Neither is Mickey York. Those two's contracts were not brought back. It's a long story, but we're going to talk to Trevor about his new venture as he is working for the Bleav podcast network, the Bleav in Lions podcast. He and Glover Quin. Trevor's going to join us momentarily on the program as well. If you want to be our call of the day, we'll do one tomorrow. Maybe we'll do one Friday. Go to our SpeakPipe voicemail system, speakpipe.com/Derry, D-E-R-Y, podcast page. All right, before we get to Trevor Thompson, OTAs are officially underway in Allen Park. Media is not allowed in until Friday, so don't really have any updates for you on Alex Anzalone if he's there. All this stuff will be out in the open on Friday, but the team did start their organized team activities today in Allen Park. Again, they are voluntary, not mandatory. But the big news that's coming out of Allen Park is we know this about Dan Campbell, all right? Over the last couple of years, there has been no reason for this organization, led by Dan Campbell, to play any of the regulars, any of the starters, any of the key guys during the preseason. The Lions will be playing 4 preseason games this year, including July 31st, the Hall of Fame game, when they take on the LA Chargers in beautiful and plush Canton, Ohio, at the Hall of Fame game. But one thing the Lions will be doing is joint practices. That is where the starters are out there during the week in a lot of 7-on-7 situations, some 11-on-11, in pads, going at it with the team that they'll be facing that weekend in preseason games. The Miami Dolphins did confirm that they will be holding joint practices at the Lions Allen Park facility, the Meyer Performance Center, or Myers, some of you call it, the week of August 16th, leading up to the preseason game on Saturday the 16th at 1 o'clock. Also today, and that will be multiple joint practices, likely like Tuesday and Wednesday, something like that, or Wednesday and Thursday. Today, Demeco Ryans, the head coach of the Houston Texans, confirmed that when Houston comes to Ford Field for August 23rd, that week, the Texans will have 1 day of joint practices with the Lions so that the starters can get out there, that they can have, some bumping and grinding out there with Detroit. So that's pretty cool. That's a better gauge than these exhibition games. It just is. Now, preseason games, you do find, you unearth some gems. You do find some undrafted free agent players. You find some late round rookies that you like, that you think can play a little bit. Years ago, the Lions got to look at Jerry Jacobs and others that had a chance in the preseason to play. It'll also be a very vital preseason, and those games will be important for a guy like Hendon Hooker. Is he a lock to be the backup quarterback? Will he be pushed at all? Will he look the part? Will he look competent? All of that will take place in the preseason, but it is during those joint practices where the starters are out there. Quarterback's not getting hit or anything, but you're seeing what you have, and you're seeing what you have with the players that are important. Aiden Hutchinson ain't playing in the preseason, but So you can take part in some of these joint practices, some of the one-on-one stuff with the other team's right tackle or left tackle. Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's pretty cool. Both the Dolphins and the Texans confirming they'll do some joint practices with the Lions in August. Texans saying it's just one day. Dolphins, I think, will be multiple days. And I love that the Lions have these good relationships with these organizations where that they're willing to do that and take part. All right, Trevor Thompson is going to join us coming up next from the Bleav in Lions podcast. We'll get to Trevor's thoughts on the Lions and catch up with them. Coming up next, right here on a Wednesday edition of Locked On Lions. And Locked On Lions today brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. NBA playoffs are in full swing. Every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. How about last night? Did you have the Pacers in that game? Did you have Tyrese Halliburton for some player props? If you did, you walked away with some cash. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. All right. What would it look like to combine live prop bets mid-game based on how the action unfolds? You can do that tonight for Game 5 between the Thunder and the Timberwolves. How could a $200 in bonus and bet and $200 bonus in bets add to the excitement if your first $5 bet hits? If I could speak English and read, I would tell you it's great. Seriously, go to FanDuel right now. It's perfect time to log in and sign up. Head to FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, folks, for some of you, you haven't seen him in a while. This is one of the best faces and voices out there for a long time in this market. Now he's back doing the Bleav in Lions podcast with Glover Quin, formerly, of course, of FanDuel Sports Detroit. Trevor Thompson is with us today on Locked On Lions. Trev, great to catch up, brother.
Matt, it's a blast to be on with you. You've done a great job with this Locked On Lions, and I've had a lot of fun watching you guys do your thing. And it's been a long time since we've been face-to-face chatting sports or anything else, but it's great to be on with you.
I know, man. How you been? People are obviously asking. Stuff was in the paper with you and Mickey York and not being back with FanDuel. What's the latest? What can you tell us?
Yeah, it was really nice to see all the support out there in the Detroit sports community. Been a part of it for a long time, made a lot of friends along the way, met a lot of really, really good people, worked with a lot of really good people, had an opportunity to see all of the country and then some along the way. So it's been a great ride. We'll see what's next. Right now, doing this Bleav in Lions with Glover Quin has been a blast to dip back into the Lions pond. The last time I covered the Lions was during the Millen era. You and I were on the beat then. We know what things were like then.
Yes.
Considerably different team, considerably different culture, considerably different results, and a lot of fun to cover. We know a lot of passion for the fan base as far as the Lions go, as far as that's concerned. So certainly glad to be a part of that going forward. And just looking back with nothing but fond memories and a lot of gratitude.
So this opportunity with Bleav in Lions, take us through how that took place. And obviously you and Glover Quin doing the show, and look, cross promoting other podcasts. We're all for it here. I mean, people want Lions content badly, you know?
Very popular team, obviously. And, as well as how they've turned it around from the inside out with that culture and with Dan Campbell, and things were turning around. Certainly when Glover Quin was here as an all-pro, and getting a chance to work with him with the podcast, an all-pro on the field, off the field. I was the president of the Detroit Sports Broadcasters Association for a while. He was the two-time Good Guy Award winner from that organization for what he did with the media while he was inside the Lions locker room. So certainly he knows a lot of those players still. He knows what they're trying to do there to get his ideas and to feed off of his passion for the game and for the Lions. Has certainly been a lot of fun. So when the opportunity came to work with him, Eric Weinberg, one of the founders of the Bleav Network, approached me about that opportunity to do this with Glover. They were looking for a co-host, and I jumped at the opportunity because, like I said, an opportunity to work with a guy like that, to cover a team like the Lions right now, and to get back in it on a positive note, certainly a more positive note than it was the last time I was covering the team, was exciting.
Maybe, it's interesting because, and no knock on the Wings, they've been struggling as of late, and that was kind of your beat for a long time, but you could see just how, if you stay patient with it, especially with the Lions, things start growing. You've covered so many winning teams, but did you ever think in a million years that the Lions would be kings of this? We knew they'd be kings of this town regardless, because the NFL is king, but the way they've kind of set the tone for the rest of the teams is amazing, isn't it?
I'm wondering if you felt this along the way too, when they were making that transformation, Matt. Well, we got so used to SOL, same old lines. We got so used to that. No matter how they teased you, you're always waiting for the other shoe to drop, and it always seemed to drop. And in this case, you're almost afraid to believe in it, afraid to really go with that wave that you saw coming. And now that they have certainly crossed that barrier to the upper echelon of teams in this league, it's been exciting. And I really think you had to believe in it. And you might have got chills too when you were watching Hard Knocks. And Dan Campbell's like, trust me, guys. I hate to do this to you. I know this might not make sense to you, but trust me. And he's talking to the whole fan base when he said that, trust me. I think everybody did buy into that. Everybody did trust. Everybody was on board with that. And I think the end result has been a wonderful payoff, a wonderful reward for the players who helped turn it around, for Dan himself to see that that did come to fruition. And it wasn't just smoke. It wasn't just same old Lions, that they have crossed that barrier into the upper echelon. And it's just been fun to watch and now fun to believe in. I'm not sure how you see it from that standpoint, but it really has gone next level.
No, it has. It has. And this fan base deserves it. And obviously, just based on ticket sales, the price of tickets, what the demand is, it's awesome. It is absolutely awesome. Tell me this. I know you've done a few shows now and you're getting your feet wet with Glover. What's GQ been saying about this offseason and how he kind of views coming off a 15-win season? And some people now figuring, you know what, they had their run. They won the last 2 years of the NFC North. And some people almost counting them out nationally, which is crazy to me.
You know what? He's excited about what they were able to do in the draft and some of the talent that they were able to acquire and some of the needs they were able to address. I think that he's also waiting to see what happens without Ben Johnson, without Aaron Glenn, and how they continue to roll along as far as the defensive and offensive side of the ball is concerned. The talent is still there. They're returning 80% of the roster. I think there's only 3 teams returning a higher percentage of their roster than the Lions last year. So that type of continuity, I think, is going to help going forward. But Glover's certainly interested in how those coaches will continue to grow that culture, continue to share that philosophy with some of the new guys coming in, and how some of this talent will continue to evolve to keep these guys where they are right now. And he also talked about, and everybody's talking about, all the injuries that they suffered last year, how that can't happen again. So how much better can it make this team this year? How much deeper will they be with more healthy bodies ready to go week to week? So some of those are some of the things he's looking forward to watching as this unfolds and talking about early in the season.
Trevor Thompson with us, one half of the Bleav in Lions podcast, joining Glover Quin, a new venture for Trevor, and it's great to have him on here. What excites you most? They're getting through the starting OTAs this week. I know the media will be there on Friday, so there'll be some storylines there. But what excites you most about as we get closer to training camp? Is there something, a storyline or something you're looking forward to the most?
Well, I wonder who Kirby Joseph's going to get some of that money to. He got a lot of money. Looking forward to watching him perform at a very high level. And certainly he's going to get a lot of run for signing that massive contract. And people are going to be looking out to see what he does on the field to back that up this year and going forward as well. But like I say, the continuity with this team going forward, and Aiden Hutchinson, how he returns from that injury last year, is obviously going to be one of the big things we look for. As far as the new guys coming in, I'm really interested in what Isaac Tesla can do. I mean, this guy has proven along the line that he's going to be a very talented, multifaceted athlete. But when you reach up and grab a guy like that who's projected to go a couple of rounds later, and there are a couple of other teams interested in him, and with these guys' track record of finding talent, I'm really interested to see what they've unturned with this guy, what kind of stone they've unturned with this guy, and what he can bring to the table. So I'll have my eye out on him early in the season and see what he's got to offer as well. So those are some of the things I'm looking forward to. How about yourself? What are you looking forward to? I know you're as dialed in as anybody. What are you looking forward to?
You mentioned it with Tesla, and I brought this up before you came on at the start of the show. I mean, these joint practices that they're having with the Dolphins and Texans are really, that's where we're going to find out about some of these guys, because a lot of the regulars aren't going to play, but it's in the preseason where it's like, those 4 preseason games, and we're going to be just jonesing for September 7th when they do the real thing in Green Bay. But guys like Hendon Hooker and Tesla and others are going to have to play. You're still going to have to field a team to play these preseason games. And you're right about Tesla. It's gotten a lot of ink and a lot of pub because the draft, you're not drafting 7th anymore. Like, when you took Hutchinson 2nd or Sewell 7th. But he's certainly the most intriguing guy. I want to ask you mentioned before about Aiden Hutchinson coming back. You cover the Wings for years. I mean, that is a brutal sport. Guys go down with those, as they say in hockey, lower body injuries. How do you anticipate Hutch coming back from a fibula and tibia? And do you think, all right, week 1 against Green Bay, he's going to be the old Hutch, or will it take a few weeks?
I think there's going to be a build up to it. But what I really like about the fact that he's coming back from this is when he's coming back for it. He's young. He's not 30 plus trying to come back from there. It could be a whole other scenario. He's a young body. He's obviously a machine. The guy is an incredible specimen of a human being as far as the athletics go and his build and his makeup as far as that goes. So I think he's going to maybe take a couple of weeks, knock some of that rust off to really find out where he's at, and then break that mental barrier that a lot of players talk about when they come back from a serious injury. And once he's cleared that hurdle mentally and he knows what he can do physically, this guy's still the limit for him. I'm interested to watch him go. But I just think because he's young, he's going to bounce back rather quick.
Trevor Thompson with us, Bleav in Lions podcast. Again, just Google it, find it wherever you get your podcast. Lion Glover Quin. It's interesting because you mentioned before, Trev, about all the injuries that the Lions had last year. The one spot really that they had some depth was at safety, so they really didn't need GQ to come out of retirement to play last year. He seems easy. I've seen some of the shows. He seems like he's in decent shape.
Yeah, he's in great shape. Yeah, he works out every day. Yeah, he talked about running a 5K and preparing for that. And the way he was preparing for it mentally was like preparing for a game week. And what he was going through to get his body and his mind right to compete at the highest level, even though it wasn't, Monday Night Football or anything like that. He was treating it like a regular game week as far as his approach mentally and physically preparing for that. So he stays in pretty good shape, takes it seriously still to this day.
Oh man, that'd be that would have been hilarious if what is he? Is he 40 now? He's got to be up there. He's got to be late 30s or 40 years old.
30s. Now, right? Yeah, I don't think he's 40 yet, but
no,
mid 30s. Still young. I remember those days.
It's a brutal. That's right. We both do. It's a brutal game. All right. Everybody's talked about edge rusher opposite of Hutch. Certainly the Lions' plan is for Marcus Davenport to stay healthy. Do you still anticipate there's a signing down the road? Is Darius Smith coming back? How much have you guys talked about that?
We speculated about it. He doesn't have any inside information. He hasn't committed one way or another. I saw Jadeveon Clowney's name mentioned, as well as somebody that they might want to have some interest in or kick the tires on that. I loved Zadarius Smith and what he brought last year. I thought he was going to be a good fit. I thought they were simply waiting till after the draft to go and then make that move. But they didn't make that move yet. OTAs are underway. He's still out there. Maybe they still will, but I haven't figured out why they haven't already. I thought that was an easy fit for them. So I'll be very interested to see what they do from here on going forward in that position. I don't know if you've heard anything or what your thoughts are. I'd be interested to get your thoughts, and maybe that's something Glover and I can kick around when we do our podcast tomorrow.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing for me was Darius Smith is I just think, and I've said this on the show, I think he's going to sign here, but I think it's going to be, August or maybe even September 1st, where it's like, all right, training camp over, check. Yeah. I don't have to do that. And his girlfriend is Cash Doll, the Detroit rapper. They've been spotted. I know you're a big Cash Doll fan. They've been spotted at LCA Pistons games, and I think he's hanging around here. So I'm a little bit surprised that another team didn't grab him. But the other thing too is the agent. I mean, maybe the agent is dug in on, look, we're not going to take a giant pay cut, so we'll go from 11 million down to 7 or 8, but that's it. But then when it gets closer to September 1st and the Lions go, look, we'll give you a 1-year deal at 4.5 with a lot of incentives, that may be the way to do it. But again, what I'm concerned about too is if a guy on another team gets hurt in training camp, turns a knee, an ankle, then it's like, that becomes another team that would be more desperate, let's say, for Zadarius Smith. But I see a scenario where he comes back.
So do I. But like you alluded to, it's got to make dollars if it's going to make sense for both sides. But there's also some truth to what you said about when you sign. And Glover did say, and I remember him talking about, veterans don't have any love for OTAs and this sort of thing. So the longer you can kick that rock down the road, the better it is as far as that goes for him too. So he's probably not in a hurry as far as that's concerned.
More with Trevor Thompson coming up next. I want to ask about the rest of the division and the NFC. We will do that next right here on a Wednesday edition of Locked On Lions. Our buddy Trevor Thompson with us, a long time, of course, at FanDuel Sports Detroit, now with the Bleav in Lions podcast, co-hosting that show with Glover Quin. I know you guys touch on it sometimes, talking about the rest of the division. Who scares you the most in this division to push the Lions for that top spot?
Right now, the Vikings do, and I really wonder what J.J. McCarthy is going to show or how he's going to grow, what we're going to see early on as far as his development goes. But obviously that team last year was stacked and ready to go and a legit threat to the Lions as far as the North goes. So they're my biggest concern right now. Obviously, Green Bay, they're no slouch either, but my bigger concern right now is the Vikings. I'll be very interested to see what the Bears do with Ben Johnson. They've got a talented young quarterback. They've got some receivers there. They've got some hope and some pieces there. So I'm really, really interested to see what he does with them. But as far as their number one concern, I'm looking at the Vikings. How about you?
I would have said Green Bay. I still think the Packers are the second best team in the division. I don't see a scenario where Minnesota wins 14 games like they did a year ago. And obviously, I don't think you and I probably agree 15 wins is going to be almost impossible for the Lions with this road schedule. But, the question is, like you mentioned with JJ, he could come in and be even better than Darnold was last year. And I thought Darnold was really good up until the last week. And then second to last week against the Lions. And then that playoff game where he was a disaster against the Rams. But that's the thing no one talks about, Trev, is how well coached the Vikings are, how good Kevin O'Connell is. And that's not saying Matt LaFleur isn't. That's not saying Ben Johnson won't be. But I think that staff in Minnesota has done a heck of a job. And you're right. People just kind of don't – everybody's talking Bears now. Mm-hmm. Everybody's talking Packers because they are so young and still very good. And Jordan Love makes a lot of money. But I'm with you. I don't think Minnesota is going to drop that much. And if McCarthy can move and do the things he did at Michigan, that's going to make for two very interesting games when the Lions and Vikings play, don't you think?
Yeah, he wants to be a bit of a star to himself. He's got a little bit of swagger to him. You see him at some of the sporting events and hanging around with JJ there at the basketball games, watching the Timberwolves play down the stretch. So I think he's got a bit of swagger to him. I think he wants to be in the limelight. I think he wants to be a star. I think he's going to work hard off the field. I think he was coached well. I think he's got all the tools. We'll just see what they do in front of him. But I think they've got a very legit system going there in Minnesota.
That you mentioned Ben Johnson before. Look, that's a big loss for the Lions, but I'm not ready yet to crown the Bears. I mean, I don't know how much you guys talk about it. It's amazing how much love they are getting and how much people think Ben Johnson's going to go right from the second chair to the big chair and be great. And look, he might be, but I still think they're a little bit more ways away than the other two teams we mentioned,
Yeah, I agree with you as far as being a bit ways away, but I do think they have some pieces there. I think they got some talented receivers. I think Rome is going to take a next step this year as far as receivers go after his rookie year. I think that Ben's going to know how to develop these guys, so I think it's more of a slower burn. But I'm interested to see how fast they do burn, how fast they do climb that curve in this division.
What do you think about opening at Green Bay week 1? An advantage that it's not a cold game, or are you going, oh man, that's two back-to-back division games to start the season, and then add Baltimore on Monday night is no picnic.
Yeah, and then 7 nationally televised games, 5 of them in prime time. You're playing Thanksgiving, you're playing Christmas, and then you open with Green Bay. I mean, it's interesting right off the hop, this entire schedule, and the challenges are certainly out there for them. I'm really interested in that game because you think that that's the best team in the division. Like I said, I think it's the Vikings, but I'm interested to see how these two teams stack up and what messages they send to one another beginning in week 1, because it's going to be a dogfight from week 1 on through the rest of the schedule.
The Green Bay game week 1 only worries me a little because I'm not sure Hutch is going to be 100%. And it's his first game back where it's real live bullets. And Lee McNeil won't be out there. So, I'd rather get Green Bay at Lambeau when I've got McNeil and Hutchinson both at full strength. But Lions the last 3 times, as you know, Trev, have handled the Packers just fine at Lambeau. So it's not as crazy of a place to win as it used to be.
In big games, which matters too, like in big moments, nationally televised, big games at the end of the season. So I think that's going to be a great start for them. And like you said, they've handled them well there. And I think they're going to do that in week 1. Looking forward to it.
Final thing, rest of the NFC, we talked about the North a little bit. Obviously, the Eagles are going for the repeat. Anybody else stand out to you that you say, man, this is going to be a team near the top of the NFC this year, besides Detroit and Philadelphia?
I start and end with the Eagles, really. I mean, they're so talented. They're still young. It's still all out there for them. I think that they've got things that they want to prove. And I just think that other than the Lions, well, the Lions are right there. And then you talk about, I say the Vikings, I think they're still legit. But I think really the Lions are maybe their toughest competition. And I think that still the Eagles are the class of the conference. And until you knock them off, that's who I'm going to roll with. How do you see it?
I do, and I think Washington's going to be good too. I'm not so sure the Commanders. Jaden Daniels was so good last year. I don't know how you top his first year, and will he have a C.J. Stroud like sophomore year? And no joke, C.J.'s great, but how good will Jaden Daniels and the Commanders be? And I'll tell you, and I was looking at the schedule today. I think the Rams with that young defense and I know they lost Cooper Kupp, but Rams can be really good. And I think Arizona is going to be good. I mean, I think the NFC is going to be better this year than it was a year ago. Obviously, the AFC has been the better conference. NFC won the Super Bowl with the Eagles, and you look at that road schedule, brother. They're all not. Can you believe this, Trev? When you and I got to town here, I mean, the Lions were begging not to play at 1:00. Every game was at 1. Now none of them are. It's wild.
Yeah, like I said,
one night game.
It's a whole other Lions team. Like the Bleav, and just you say Lions, it comes off the tongue differently. It hits the ears differently these days than it did back then. But I still think that until they prove otherwise, the Eagles are going to be the class of the conference right now as far as the NFC goes. But I'm interested in the Lions giving them all they can to knock them off that throne.
No question about it. Trev, great to catch up, my friend. Check out Trevor Thompson along with Glover Quin, the Bleav in Lions podcast. It's BLEAV. Bleav in Lions podcast. Find it wherever you get your podcasts. Trev, great catching up, brother. You look and sound great, and we'll have to do it again soon.
Diesel, I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for having me on. We're going to have you on ours, so I get ready for that.
Would love it. Anytime. Trevor Thompson with us, of course, on this Wednesday edition of Locked On Lions. Bradford Banta, the former Lion, long snapper, tight end, and assistant special teams coach, going to join us tomorrow on the program on a Thursday edition of Locked On Lions. We will see everybody tomorrow.